again, characteristically under statue of Comrade Stalin, extending his friendly hand to peoples of the world. At that age, of course, I was still idealistically minded young communist, and I still believe that sooner or later, things will go for better. But I realize that the system stinks, that something is fishy, and that ideology is fake. And the propaganda about advanced Soviet agriculture simply didn't meet the criteria of reality. Were he alive today, most likely he would be inspecting Soviet troops in Nicaragua, Angola, and many other parts of the world. Unlike many other military officers, he was reporting directly to the Minister of Defense, bypassing KGB and diplomatic service. In other words, he was a trusted military professional. Fortunately, he died and he didn't see the disgrace because deep inside he was a Russian patriot. Then the military and the KGB at the bottom, senile megalomaniacs, they can start war. I wouldn't be surprised. They hate each other. And the most hated triangle, the most hated corner of the triangle, is the Communist Party bureaucrats. If they talk about abundance of food and there's none in the stores, there must be something wrong. This picture was taken on that day. And you can see again how happy it feels to be recruited by the KGB. Our conversation with Yuri Alexandrovich Bezmenov, who's a defector from the Soviet Union, a former propaganda agent for Novosti in the KGB, will continue after this message. Encouraged, unlike in the United States, where civil defense is virtually non-existent, zero. You can see me here with a group of students during one of the war games near Moscow. It could be worse, and things may go for better. But obviously, Communist Party had different plans for my genes, so I had to marry this beautiful Russian girl. I even tried to implement the beautiful Marxist motto, proletarians of all the countries unite. Either to keep family in USSR as hostages, or, if it's a convenience marriage like mine, so that the husband and wife are virtually informers on each other. To prevent defection or contamination by decadent imperialist or capitalist ideas, the main idea, of course, is to prepare a huge reserve army of the USSR. My first assignment was to India as a translator with the Soviet Economical Aid Group, building refinery complexes in Bihar State and Gujarat State. Most of these marriages were marriages of convenience. On advice from the Department of Personnel, this is normal practice in USSR, it took me quite a number of years to realize that what we were bringing to India was a new type of colonialism, 1,000 times more oppressive and exploitative than any colonialism or imperialism in the history of mankind. Instructors, as every Soviet student, I was quote-unquote volunteering for harvesting grain in Kazakhstan. This is the biggest agricultural blunder of the Soviet government. My father was, he's on the left here. My father was officer of the General Staff of the Soviet Army. He may not be promoted too high, but he's a dependable bureaucrat who will stay forever. I studied not only languages, of course, because the communist motto borrowed from the Bible says, "Those who do not work shall not eat." You can see me eating. Therefore I was working. Literature, even music. They know what war is. At least my father did. He was inspector of land forces, Soviet troops stationed in countries like Mongolia, Cuba, East European countries. He didn't like the idea of expanding Soviet military might, especially in the areas where we were not welcomed at all. Excuse me? Which one were you on? I know that the most dangerous part of the Soviet power structures are not military at all. Most likely, if they come to power in my country, they'll be more sensible negotiators for nuclear disarmament and withdrawal of the Soviet troops from many parts of the world. But if someone from the party structure or the KGB structure were to give the orders for military sanction, they would follow. Yes, because they are professional military. I went through a very extensive physical and military training, including the military games in suburban areas of Moscow. Here, but you see, the triangle of power and hate in USSR is the party at the top, the party elite, the oligarchy of the party.
Oligarchy.
They are the most adventuristic. This is the picture taken at the entrance of my Institute of Oriental Languages. It's a part of Moscow State University. I graduated in 1963. Now you can see how happy I was about it. By the end of my training in school, I was recruited by the KGB. All right. As every student in the USSR, I went through very extensive physical and military training and civil defense training too. In the USSR, every student, whatever his major subject, has to go through very extensive 4-year military and civil defense training. Each student has to graduate as a junior lieutenant, my case, it was administrative and military intelligence service. At that time, I was still naively, idealistically believing that what I was doing contributes to the understanding and cooperation between the nations. But at that time, I was still hoping that, well, maybe it's not that bad. I tried to unite with a nice Indian girl. Actually, I was fascinated by Indian culture, by the family life in this country. In the span of my career, I married 3 times. When a Soviet citizen is assigned to a foreign job, he has to be married. In my case, I hated that girl so much that the moment I landed in Moscow,